For those listeners who already know that I was in America, this may not be of any kind of news, but for those who don't know, it is news. I was in America recently. The last two weekends I was in the U.S.
And what brought you to America?
I was pining for pine trees, ones in Georgia. But I had to go to a wedding, and I needed to introduce my Turkish fiancée to my families. And that went pretty well.
Okay. No major mishaps?
No mishaps. Normally I go back for like 2.5 weeks, and, it's just there's so many people, and there's 2 different regions. I have to go to Florida and Georgia. So even 2.5 weeks is really pushing it. No one feels very satisfied. Maybe they're just not satisfied with me, and maybe it's not the length of time that I'm staying there. But this time, with it only being like 8 days, it was, I wasn't satisfied. The people I got to see once.
Just remember, Michael, time does matter. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. In the podcast, I'll probably have to, you catch me off guard a lot of times. And I like to have a dramatic pause in person, but on the radio, that dramatic pause is about 2 seconds too long.
Well, you got to be quicker on the ball. How do you?
Well, it's actually intentional. I do the dramatic pause to kind of highlight the idiocy of something you've just said. But like I said, on the radio, I've just got to I got to cut it in half. I always got to think, that instead of saying one Mississippi, I've just got to say one and then move on.
Well, that leads me to a really awesome idea I have had. I was thinking we should have a proactive interaction with our audience. So I was thinking culture clash drinking game. As you may know, I may make some odd grammatical error or mispronunciation. Why do I do this? Because I'm on the radio and I know it annoys you. Anyways, I was thinking every time there's a grammatical misusage, you drink. Every time there's some kind of douchebaggery from the other microphone, you drink. Every time there's something slightly amusing with the combination of the two, you raise your glass, say, Sheriff Tayyip, and you drink. What do you think?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to the listeners? Who do you envision to be drinking?
The listeners, except if you're in a car, that's just not right. Anyways.
Well, you mean if they're driving the car.
Yeah.
I assume if you're a passenger, it's
still not right.
So I don't know. I will crowdsource that. Listeners, podcast listeners, live listeners. That's the suggestion. That's the idea. Vote on it. Go to the Facebook group. That's Culture Clash Radio at Facebook. If you haven't already liked it, go ahead and like it. If you don't like it, like it anyway. And weigh in on Andrew's suggestion. Anyway, so I was in the U.S. and I got to go to this wedding, and it was my sister. I've got a lot of sisters, and
how many sisters do you have?
I've got 4 sisters. Only one that I grew up with. The others are more recent additions to my life. But I love them still, and I don't get to see. I don't get to see them very. I don't get to see any of them very much. But this sister had a wedding, the wedding to end all weddings. I don't think I'll ever go to a bigger wedding. So,
have you ever been to a Turkish wedding?
I've not been to a Turkish wedding. No one invites me.
Ah.
How many have you been to?
I've been to about 3, but they generally average in between 150 to 250 people, sometimes more. That's considered small here.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, I mean, the one in the U.S., my sister's wedding, my sister Caitlin's wedding, was about 200 people, I'd guesstimate. I mean, maybe a little more.
That's rather small for Turkish standards, but in America, it's huge.
I mean, that's what it seemed like. Listeners may know that I'm engaged to marry my beautiful fiancée, Melek, and we're looking for places to hold our reception. And it's really tough because we're only looking for about 60, 70 people, and we can't find a venue that's willing really to open up, I mean, to that small a number at a reasonable price. I mean, they'll charge us for 200.
Yeah.
But even then, they're not happy because they're not going to have some ancillary sales of alcohol and these things with smaller people.
They don't make the additional cash with photography, alcohol, food.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think the photography is probably the same price no matter what the size.
No, the thing is, they get a couple contract photographers, but the photographers do this because they take individual pictures of people, and then they sell that individual to the bride and groom setup. So it's actually 2 operations in one, and they make most of their money off the guests and from the actual
really?
album.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. It's good to know. I have to line up a photographer eventually.
One thing you'll find, a lot of the venues will not let you bring your own photographer. They have people working specifically for them.
I'm just thinking if Madeline is listening right now. I don't know if she's so punctual that she caught the beginning of the show, but Madeline is one of our most loyal listeners. She's from Canada. I think that's why, she knows that her compatriot or come Patty is on the air, and she just got to listen, and she loves your pronunciation. It's one of the things that I think that really hooked her. That and the way you talk about women, but the fact that you just say photography with that incredible emphasis on the first syllable.
What's wrong with photography?
No, you didn't say photography. You said, they don't normally let you have your own photographer.
Stress and emphasis, my friend. Stress and emphasis. It makes listening to the radio more fun.
It does. I hope. I hope so, because otherwise we're screwing over.
My grammatical inconsistencies has hooked us some devoted listeners, as you have just said.
Well, I don't know that it's inconsistencies. I mean, it's inconsistently wrong. I mean, no. What am I now? I'm making a fool of myself. It's consistently wrong. It's not inconsistent. It's consistently wrong. But
completely intentional. Also, I'm from New Brunswick, so you can't hold it against me.
Well, we'll try not to.
Anyways,
but anyway, I mean, like I told Andrew before the show. I mean, there's no question Andrew's going to be the star of this show. If anyone gets famous, it's going to be Andrew, because I'm rather monotone. I mean, I have a silky smooth voice, but and Andrew distracted me while I'm on air with Sasha saying hi. Sasha is a colleague, former colleague of me. I don't know. I guess she's still your colleague. Is she?
Yeah.
She's a local artist in Istanbul. If you're a local artist in Istanbul and you'd like to maybe get a little airtime, we're always open to listening to demos.
Please submit us some of your online podcasts, and we will play it and then get you in for an interview.
No, we're not going to play any podcasts.
No?
Send Andrew.
Demo, yeah, I need.
Send Andrew a CD. I mean, I still work by CD because the quality is so good. Even if it's MP3, it's better on a CD. So send that demo to Andrew on Facebook. If you're listening to the show, you're probably already friends with Andrew on Facebook. Not with me, because I've been trying to get rid of my friends on Facebook. I'm trying to cut that down to 100 people.
You're pretty antisocial there, Mike.
Yeah, I try not to fall into the Facebook gap, because we might lose it. Listeners in Turkey are already aware, but listeners outside of Turkey may not be aware that right before I left the country, so just before the first of our 2 missed shows, YouTube was banned in the country, and it's not been brought back yet, and it probably won't be brought back.
No, it won't be brought back. Same with Twitter as well.
Twitter got back.
Twitter is not coming back.
Twitter's been back for a while, dude. Twitter came back after the election.
I just don't care enough about Twitter to check it then.
You were all about Twitter before I left. You were all about, because you couldn't have Twitter, you had to have Twitter. And now that it's back, you pretend like you don't know that it's back, because now you don't care.
Not really.
Well, speaking of YouTube bans and Twitter bans, there was an election recently, and I was gone for it, as well as my fiance. And voting is compulsory here in Turkey. That's a foreign concept to Americans. In Canada, is it compulsory?
Yes. Well, no, it's not. People
okay,
should vote.
I'm sorry to have asked you such a difficult question.
I was distracted.
What are you doing instead of paying attention to our listeners and to the presentation we're making?
Well, selfie, because I look pretty good today.
Andrew shaved. I didn't notice him. He didn't have his lumberjack beard.
The beard is gone.
For how long? How long does it take you to grow that back? I mean, for people who haven't met Andrew, the fortunate ones, his beard is like incredibly thick. I don't know. You could probably just rest paperweights on his hair without pressing them down. It's just that thick.
Well, that was about 3 months worth of work that I just shaved off there. So.
Is that what you consider work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Andrew's a busy man. He's a man of many talents and skills. He does photography. He does some drawings. What else do you do, Andrew? What else do you do to stay busy? we'll get to what you do in the evenings to stay busy a little later. That's going to be the end of the show. Last half of the show, we'll get to more from Andrew's dating adventures. He's got some stories that I hope are not out of date because they were 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, same, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I can think of something.
These two girls that I'm thinking of, are they still in play? I mean,
No.
It was 3 weeks ago.
No, they're gone.
Okay. All right. Well, no surprise. But anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. So what I wanted to talk about, now we've kind of opened up for a little bit. I wanted to talk about this wedding. My sister Caitlin had this Hollywood wedding. I've never seen anything like it in person. I mean, I've never even really seen anything like it on film because I hate movies that have weddings like this. But her wedding was very beautifully done. It was at this English mansion built in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. Well, it doesn't really narrow it down because half of Georgia is nowhere. You mean like a
plantation?
No, but that's actually not a bad guess. No, this was it's more a modern building. Like it's maybe 15 years old, 11 years old. It cost $15 million or something to build it. This architect, it was just his dream project. He had a lot of money, built the house, and then found after he built the house, he didn't have a lot of money, and they got sold after the crisis for like $1.25 million, which I mean is a steal, but it's in the middle of nowhere, so no one wants to live there. So anyway, some people bought it in order just to have weddings there, and my sister chose to have her wedding there, and they got the old timey cars. They got these big, I don't know how many rooms. I mean, they've got these. I'll have to show you pictures. I didn't get a lot of pictures of the indoor area, but I mean, when I say it's like a castle, it was designed to emulate English castles.
So is it like a hotel, wedding hall, retreats kind of
setup? They stayed there. I think the bride and groom can stay there. I think there's a couple rooms in like the upper floors, but it's not like a functioning hotel. It really is just for events. This was the first wedding that they had done there.
Sounds like it'd be a pretty dry wedding unless they have like a couple.
No. There were, I don't know, 100 bottles of wine and champagne. And when the party died, because like there were, it wasn't like a Catholic wedding. Okay. For those who don't know, a Catholic wedding is basically like a mass. It's 3 hours. I mean, and you sit through them talking about God forever before they get to the I do's and stuff. Was
it like My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I didn't see it. Like I said, I don't watch movies that have weddings in it. Okay. Funerals, but not weddings. I'm just,
That's antisocial.
I mean, 4 weddings and a funeral, I only saw a fifth of it. So, I mean, it's a math joke.
Okay, I don't get it.
That's even funnier. That's much funnier than what I said. But anyway, so it was really big. And
okay.
You got it now?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. And I like the fact that you took a moment to let everybody else know that you just got that. So the bride and groom finished up and left at like 11:30 or something. And Melek and I was tired. I was bored. I don't dance. So there's nothing for me to do at a wedding.
Sounds pretty lame. Party killer.
Yeah, I'm a stick in the mud. If you haven't met me, my name is Michael, and I'm a stick in the mud.
Yeah, if you invite him to a party, he won't even show up anyway. But on the odd occasion, he does get really, really drunk and likes to throw random people around random bars.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to throw people around random bars, or throw random people around known bars.
Do you remember the time when you threw me around in the bar that was well known that we went to? Or at least I go to?
I said that you go to.
Yeah.
I've been there once. That was the only time.
You might not want to go back in a while.
I don't think they have any issue.
You threw me into 3 random women.
Yeah, but do those random women still go there?
I don't know.
Well, then I guess the bar doesn't have an issue. And I bring people together. And this is what the radio show is for me. It's bringing you to more women so that you can
actually what was it you called me when we started working together? Aggressively social. You went out of your way to ignore me, but I just wouldn't let you. And then I introduced you to all our other colleagues that you could not be bothered meeting.
It's not that they weren't bothered meeting me. We seemed like we had a really satisfying status quo of passing each other silently in the hallway.
But where's the fun in that?
Well, the fun is to see how long you can do that. There are people in my MBA class. There's like 3 or 4 girls in my MBA class. I have had now 9 classes with them. Never spoken to them. They've never spoken to me directly. Or I think even indirectly. And after a while you feel it's awkward. Because sometimes we're sitting together in the room alone before the class starts, and we don't say anything to each other. We say good morning to people that we know coming in, but if it's one of these other girls, I don't say anything to them, and they don't say anything to me. Or, I mean, it becomes a challenge, because one day someone will break by accident and say, "Good morning."
That would drive me batshit crazy.
I know, but for me, it's a challenge. It's just, it's avoiding just really uninteresting conversations.
But life is made out of uninteresting conversations. You just got to pick up the snippets of gold that people say every once in a while, and it's all worth it.
I mean, that's if you're desperate. I mean, if you're desperate for conversation, yeah. I mean, you go digging through people's conversational garbage and hoping you find something out of it. But I mean, I have really stimulating internal monologues.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I wish I could write them down, but they'd be lost without the silence.
Well, I did try writing. Then I realized that my writing's not that good, so I just gave up. Instead, I decided to come on the radio with you.
Writing monologues, inner monologues, or what?
Yeah. Well, for a while, I do a lot of artistic things like photography and drawing and painting and all this other thing. And
I'm sorry, what, you do a lot of artistic things like what? What was that word?
Drawing.
What was the
painting,
other word? What was the other one?
Photography.
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 Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. And I have the problem where sometimes I can't get all my ideas out of my head, or I don't have the specific tools or people or models, and I'm like, okay, what to do? Okay, let's all write this down. But no, didn't really work. Still trapped in my head, still driving me crazy.
Oh, you're just a tortured genius, huh?
Yeah.
Well, at least you're some kind of genius.
Exactly.
So I think I'm just going to give up talking about the wedding because we've not gotten it. I think I've more or less said it. Oh, well, I was going to tell you that. Yeah. So anyway, they leave at 11:30. Melik and I leave at 11:40, and apparently
late night partying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not for this stuff, but apparently the bridesmaids, all 11 of them, and the groomsmen just. They drank and partied until 5 or 6 in the morning. They got kicked out of the castle.
That's pretty standard. Well, not getting kicked out of the castle, but getting kicked out of the venue. I have not been at a wedding where I have not been kicked out of at the end of the night because it's time to close. Not before.
I mean, so are you always the last one at a party?
No, not generally. I'm just with people who are the last ones at the party.
Did you come with them, or are you like tagging along with them?
I came with them. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Oh, anyway.
Thank you.
Getting kicked out of a castle. Normally they don't want people coming into the castle. So, castles are not designed to be so easy to expel people.
Well, I think that'd be pretty cool. Hey, I got kicked out of a castle last weekend. What did you do?
I'm sure that's what they're thinking. That's how they remember what little they remember